Hello, Editing Will here. Just a little heads up, for some reason, around the 20-minute mark, the mics start to double up for a bit, like the audio doubles up, and I have no idea why. Nothing changed in the room. I do apologise. It's only for a little bit of the episode, but just a heads up. Thank you very much.
I will have to call my mother back after this.
That's fine.
Because she'll be like, "Are you coming for dinner?" "No, Mum, I'm being cool. I'm playing with my friends."
We're rolling.
Dice.
Camera. Action.
Welcome to the BBEG Podcast, which of course stands for Big Bad Evil Giraffes. As present, I'm Hattie.
I'm Will.
And I'm Em, and this week's episode is brought to you by Dread Maps, but more on that later. Today's episode
We're all too polite.
Sorry, you threw me off with today's episode. I was like, yes, amazing.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing though.
What are we doing, Natty? What are we doing today?
We are covering backstory. So previously we did characters, now we're delving more into kind of like what makes them, who they are.
Fleshing them out.
Yeah, what has gotten them to the campaign itself and kind of their whole being.
One of the things where people are either invested in a backstory or they
Yeah.
go, I'm just going to play the game and see what happens and I'll make a character through doing rather than rewriting something beforehand.
I mean, I love a good backstory. It adds flavour to your character, it informs you on how to play.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, it's all about play.
What is my personality going to be? I also think it's because we're all creatives, I think it's nice. So me and Em are actors, singers. Hattie is behind the camera, cinematographer. So we all have some kind of creative aspect in the fact that we like characters. We need to know how a character is working. So I think that's why we prefer to have a solid backstory. Yeah. Because that's how our industry works.
It doesn't mean it has to be like countless sides of A4 paper. It can be short, it can be half a page. I remember my first one was probably only about half a page because I was learning how to play and what worked for me, and it was through the game did I start to go, oh, but then this.
That's the thing with the backstory is like you don't want to tell yourself how your character acts with every interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you don't want to put yourself into a corner, however you don't want to give yourself nothing. So when you're writing your backstory, really be clear on what your character's motivation from the backstory is. That's kind of the thing I would say most.
And also choosing whether you do backstory writing about the character first and then character creation.
Yes.
So you have like an end point of how, like, who they are at the beginning of the campaign rather than at the beginning of their life.
Yeah.
Or if you do character first and kind of work your way backwards.
Meld your stats to the story.
Yeah. Which can influence, obviously, if you are, for my own example, if you are a tiefling sorcerer and you're like, do you know what, we're going to end trying to find community, so we're going to start without one.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to write my backstory about that.
Well, now I know that, I'm going to be thinking about every interaction we have from now on because because we're both tieflings. I'm like, am I the community? I'm the chosen one. Oh.
Shit's about to change anyway, so.
Oh, we got D&D tonight. We got D&D tonight. Who knows what's going to happen?
So if you didn't catch the first episode that we did, I'm the DM of our current group, and then these two are two of my players.
I've been playing for about 5 months now. This is my only campaign I've done so far. And Hattie had bad maths. Hattie had awful
it's
maths.
like 8-9 months.
Okay, so I think we've all gathered that numbers not my strong suit.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to maths, which I know is only to 12.
Yeah.
However,
Well, how many characters have you played then?
I've played 2.
You played 2.
Yeah.
And how did you do your backstories for both of them?
So for my first, was it 2? 2 one-shots that I played with the character I'd already created, but I didn't need a backstory for her because
it's
it was a one-shot.
It could be a throwaway character.
Yeah.
I made the one-shot so Hattie could basically start to learn just how to play.
Yeah.
And that was the point of it, was just to ease you in and go from there. So she was ready to join the campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That makes
So
sense.
we jumped around with the levels. Normally you start with level 1. I think we started on like level
We did level 2, then level 4,
and then I
because
joined
where
on
the
level
story
6.
was level 6.
Yeah. So there was a lot of I don't need a backstory because I'm already having to learn like spells and fighting and like all of this, which was great. But then it meant that when I did join the campaign, I tailored my backstory to fit the campaign rather than fitting the campaign around a backstory. So I already knew why I was there. I already knew what job I had, what brought me there, what I was trying to achieve, and it was just kind of like I don't believe it was very detailed, the first one you got from me.
No, it was pretty good in all fairness. I told you essentially where they would be meeting you, and what was going on in that scenario, and I left how you got there completely down to you.
Yeah.
So your beginning to the characters meeting you was all what you had decided, and just apart from adding a few flares of, to get to this position that you are in this current situation, you've just worked for a few years doing this. Yeah. Everything else was purely her.
What was the character? I wasn't there for this.
Oh yeah, sorry. So I was a elf druid.
Okay, classic, yep.
And I started on, I want to say my own planet, because it was quite like space.
It was set
orientated.
on the Spelljammers unit, so it was called Light of Xerxes. It was a pre-written campaign, and it's all about space. Yeah. So I told her she had the complete freedom to say, you are from a different planet, it does not matter.
Oh, wow. So the integration with the rest of the party must have been hella weird.
It was, because I hadn't met most of them either. So my integration into the party was a surprise.
You're talking about players, not characters. So you hadn't met most of the players.
I hadn't met most of the players, hadn't met any of the characters either.
Yeah, because the characters we did for the one-shot, we didn't use our campaign characters. Yeah. We used different characters. So everyone had a chance to try a different character.
Yeah.
But yeah, also because I was DMing the campaign, I got 2 of our friends who also DM in that campaign to do the one-shots. Yeah. Because then Hattie was here, because we did that campaign online. Yeah. So me and Hattie were at the same table. Yeah. So I could help her throughout, just to make sure
look at this number, this is your equipment. Yeah. Yeah.
So
these are the dice.
My friends,
roll this.
It was Adam and Tyler
who
DM'd.
Yeah.
When Adam, then Tyler, wasn't it? Yeah, Adam was the first one. Granny Apple's Pie.
Granny Apple's Pie, and then
Granny Apple's Pie.
Yeah, that was the.
We had to go hunting for the best apple pie recipe.
Duh.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. That was like a cute little introduction, because it was. I can't remember who else was there. It was us 2 and
Tyler.
Yes. Sam. Yeah. So there were people who were used to new players.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everyone was at level 2.
Yeah, level 2.
So we all kind of like plodded along, and a lot of times it would be like, I don't understand. And obviously because you're on camera, Adam or Tyler could hear me go, and so everyone would then be, it's this, it's that, or you could do this, or you could do that. So it was a very community based, which made it wonderful. Yeah. And then obviously joining the main campaign,
you really feel like you could actually go, my backstory is going to fit in no matter what, because these people are, I will find a way to link up my backstory with their backstory. Yeah. Brilliant. I think it's generally, if you're playing with the right kind of people, you can have any backstory you want.
And that's why I discontinued that campaign. I'm joking. I got some great friends from that group.
Yeah. But no, it was quite interesting, and I liked having an ending to work to that I hadn't thought of, because obviously brand new, and I was like, I don't know. I do believe one of the questions I had for you was, what can't I do, or what can I do? And you're like, anything, just write it down. Run, it doesn't matter.
What's your aspirations in life?
Yeah. And then you start like delving into like her why she left, why is she there, who is she, like.
So what the question we have written down is a backstory necessary? And you just said you did 2 one-shots without really any backstory.
Yeah.
So it's very much you learn by doing and fleshing out the character as you go. Yeah. But I think a backstory is necessary stuff to feel some kind of connection with the character. You want to kind of know some aspect.
I think for one-shots, it's not a necessary thing, because the whole point of a one-shot is to get from A to B. Yeah. Your character is presented with some sort of mission, quest, whatever. and that is your goal for the next 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
You're not having time to bond. It's not. Most one shots aren't incredibly role playing based. It's just get this done.
Yeah.
Within the time frame and
Yeah.
get it back to me. Sure, you do meet other characters, but at that point, no one cares where you came from or that you were left at the doorstep. The local orphanage.
We have a job to do.
Yeah, it's just get this done. Whereas for a campaign,
Yeah.
I do think it's necessary.
If you're going to be playing them for 9 months,
You're playing with, hopefully, friends, or you could be playing with people that you've never met before, essentially what you kind of did
Yeah.
joining us. But, I think a backstory lets people in that you're playing with into how you work a bit.
Yep.
And your own creativity and like, ooh, that's exciting, that's different, I never thought of that. Like Beth in our campaign.
Yeah.
I loved their backstory for their character. It was so good. It was an auto-gnome wizard.
a what
Who-
wizard?
Auto-gnome? Basically a mechanical gnome.
Yeah.
Sure.
The auto-gnome was created by another wizard. So she was their character, Temmie, was created by... Well, the actual wizard was called Temmie Silverspark.
Yeah.
And
Good name.
this wizard had created the auto-gnome, and what happened was the auto-gnome basically copied everything their character did, and eventually started to believe that they were that character.
Oh, it's an AI overthrowing.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear, by the way.
So the
I hate
auto-gnome...
it. That's my worst fear.
So the auto-gnome killed the wizard.
And assumed...
Because it was an auto-gnome
That's
with
brilliant.
basically a dual personality, and the Temmie personality overrided her mainframe and convinced the character that she was now this character.
Yeah.
So then she escaped everything and
Sad.
started exploring. So everyone who met her
Yeah.
thought that the auto-gnome was this, I'm not saying famous, but a decently well-known
Yeah.
sort of wizard that specialised in chronology, which
Yeah.
is gravity magic. No, time magic.
Time magic, yeah.
And the whole point was their character had this point where the actual auto-gnome personality
Yeah.
would sometimes slip in.
Mhm.
So Temmie was there, so convinced, so serene and calm, but every time they started to get angry, the real personality started to come through, and that personality was essentially cognitive of everything that they had done. So that personality knew that they had killed the original, but the fake personality did
You
not
were
have
living
any...
in there, they had shutters
Yeah.
on, this is what I'm
They
doing.
generally thought that they were that person. So then everyone else had no clue that what was going on.
That must have been a fantastic backstory to write. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And when they presented
when you
it
write
to
your
me,
own twist.
yeah. And when they presented it to me, I was like, "This is brilliant!
Yeah.
Like absolutely epic." And I loved it. And yeah,
You could have made them the BBEG if you really wanted to.
yeah, I could have, but the BBEG for that one had a different twist.
Oh my god. So at the
That's
end of this campaign, we'd already had one member leave us.
One of our players had to leave partway through the campaign.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. That happens.
Yeah.
But their backstory was that they were an astral elf.
Yes.
And the villainous characters in this campaign were also of astral elf origin.
Yeah.
However, their backstory also it detailed was abused as a child.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
went in.
So what the people did
Dark places.
What the people
Sometimes
did-
your backstory, you can have a
Oh, yeah.
happy backstory, but most people do go
Yeah.
dark because
You need an origin story
Need
from
an origin.
somewhere.
So-
Every villain needs an origin
Yes.
The
story.
background story was they were a child, their mother had died, and in the grief of their mother dying, the father was trying to can't remember if it was resurrect the mother or whatnot, but the father was finding all these magical runes and use them to experiment on their child, which was Tyler's character,
Yeah.
but not just magical runes, tattooed the runes onto their skin.
Oh hell.
So
Okay.
Was he you say he was a wizard, so all of his spells are on his...
yeah, oh god, was he also a wizard? Or was he a sorcerer?
A magical being.
Yes.
Yeah, the character was magical, and So every time they casted a spell, one of the runes on their skin would glow because that was like their arcane focus essentially. So we made it work like that. And then to the part where they had to leave.
Yeah.
So, outside reasons, had to step back, cool, fine. Me and Tyler go back from drama school, so we have a great relationship and we always chat in. And I was like, we're coming to the end of the campaign. How are you doing? Don't know. You are more than welcome to come back in for the final episode, as it were. And I gave them the option. I went, I've got 2 ideas. Either you can come back in and, join them, because we did it, that part of their backstory, that they had become a spelljammer, and in the game, spelljammers are a person with magical means who can drive airships, spaceships.
Oh, nice.
It has to be done through magic.
Yeah.
So they had found a sort of father figure who took them in as a captain and trained them to be a spelljammer. So that was like their fatherhood role now. They came back for them to say, our planet is now in danger. The original planet that was impacted by the astral elves to begin with.
Yeah.
So that was the way of Tyler's character leaving, was like being summoned back to the planet to help as much as possible.
It was a beautiful exit.
It
was like, goodbye guys, he gave away all of his belongings to us, like a really thought out, and we genuinely thought we're never going to see him again. So it was a lot of thank you so much for the gift, goodbye. So we carry on, completely forgetting that his character exists out there in the ether, and we reach the end of the game.
And on Discord,
literally chaos. And basically, Tyler entered the game. He left and entered the game the same way I entered the game, where M kind of builds up to a moment and describes the character as the picture you have sent. So it was one of those where you see a figure coming toward you see a figure coming towards you. Yeah. She has brown hair and you notice her from whatever you were doing previously. Yeah. And then obviously it was like Harriet tries to go.
Yeah.
Hello. He's like, would you like to introduce yourself? Not really. Yeah. Forgive me. I've never met half of you. Hello.
The difference with Tyler's one was with the whole tattoo thing. His character wore clothes that no one could see.
Yeah.
So they didn't know about the tattoos. So when I described their character coming in, he was topless.
Yes.
So was not wearing a robe, was in trousers and whatnot. It was, it was clean. It was like
PG-13 game.
So the character was coming down on the head of a solar dragon.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Just descending down.
I'm trying to picture this in my head. Yes.
And it's like, I'm not saying ripped, but it was like good looking body.
You literally
tattoos.
described him as being jacked and tatted, and we were like, oh my god, who is
this? Georgia was like, hi. I was like, calm down,
please. I seduced the stranger.
And then Tyler popped up on the screen, and George's reaction was, are you kidding me? What do you mean?
So we were like, yay, he's here, and we're in the middle of a battle against.
They are just about to face off against the prince of this city, who is the main villain of the entire thing. Now, they've got a twin.
He is the BBEG.
Yeah. Now there is a part. They've got a twin sister. I'm trying not to say too much in case anyone who wants to play it, but they've had a falling out, and they're at this point where essentially it's about their survival. So they're evil, but it is about their planet's survival. And the players, the only way that they can really stop what's going on is by killing their main star, which will destroy their planet. So it's basically it's basically we protect our planet and every other planet, because this planet of people have gone around killing other planets for their survival.
Yeah.
So do we destroy theirs and we can all move on and know that there's peace across the universe? Or so they're having that standoff. Tyler's character comes down.
Just to preface this, we're not doing too well. When it comes to fighting, you do a very clever thing when it comes to fighting, where kind of it will much like storytelling, it will build to a point and then end. So we were reaching kind of midway through, and we'd not made very good choices. Some of us were not doing too hot anymore. Some of us were hiding. That was the
fight into the planet.
Yeah. So we just...
So they hadn't even started this fight that was about to happen.
But we were not doing well. So when you described this this beautiful creature to come in. All of us were like, yes,
I'll
saved.
save ya.
Yeah. No one knew if he was good or bad.
Yeah.
They just saw this figure come down on a solar dragon
And
because the prince and the
well,
princess had connections to solar dragons,
Yeah.
and the prince had summoned a sort of robotic Goliath.
Yes.
I can't remember
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
called. A Zodar.
Yes.
It was called a Zodar, which is like a guardian
Yeah.
for their planet, to be his champion. So they were about to face off against this champion.
So did you think this was just a heroic NPC M had planned just in case we're going tits up?
So, from the description, and
Oh, it's
we
very
didn't
bad.
know, no, from
That's a line, you know.
yeah, hilarious, but no. It was the end. You were going all out, hence the
I do not
reoccurrence
care if people
of. So we got obviously the description, and it came
Yeah.
down. And by then, obviously, all of our what do we use? Discord chats. We'd already seen who had arrived because obviously
Yeah.
it comes up character name.
Yeah.
And you
So
guys
they
have
got
been playing.
excited. They was like, "Oh my God, Tyler's Perry." That was his name, wasn't it? Perry. Perry's come back, and they're
Yes.
going to help us. And because Astral Elf, I think some of them went, "Oh my God, Astral Elf makes sense.
Yeah.
They must have a connection to the
Wonderful.
dragons."
Yeah.
Can't believe he's got this dragon to come help us. No.
He landed on the other side of the line, and we were like, "Hi, oh my God, so lovely to see you." And I don't think you even gave a description. I just think Tyler opened with, "I'd like to cast this,"
Yeah.
and we were like, "We're all gonna die."
Why? And they found, because they were like, "Why? Why are you doing this?" And so they explained it. The twins, the prince and the princess. Me and Tyler spoke about it, so like I said, I gave him the options. I went, "This is your backstory." I went, "We can play with it a little bit. Maybe they weren't your real parents." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, you're an astral elf." I went, and I'd already went, "We can either have you come back in and be with them, or we can make you a slight villain." And straight away Tyler was like,
Villain. Done.
Everyone wants to play a villain. That's why I do
Like-
villain one-shots.
Yeah.
They are epic.
There's a difference between, sorry, just to interject, villain one-shots and I'm going to play chaotic evil cause.
Yeah.
So you gave Tyler the opportunity to be like, "You just want to be the bad guy,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "I'll happily twist my backstory
Yeah.
a bit. I'll do that."
All it did was change it that his parents weren't his real biological parents. That actually he was the missing child of the king and queen of this planet. So he was the missing, or no, he was the missing half-brother.
Yeah.
He was a half-brother, and that the Prince of Delhi had found him,
Yeah.
convinced him that it was his twin sister that got rid of him. So he was fully on his side, and basically went, "If you help me protect my planet and help me rise to the throne, I will give you a part of this land. Like, you will be in my council." So guy who came from, poverty essentially, and then rose up to be a really good and renowned spelljammer. So he was making decent money. To then be like, "Oh hell yeah, I've got like royalty at me now." Tyler was like, "Hell yeah." And also, it was just a fun, he went, "Actually, this is really cool," because they wouldn't expect it.
Oh, no, of course not.
So not only did they have to face against this champion that was mega damn strong to begin with,
Yeah, like he had a lot.
You know.
In every fight.
I dumbed him down a bit.
No, I know, but in every fight where he was present on our team,
Yeah.
he was putting in a lot of power.
Oh, Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was carrying quite literally me, and and sometimes, did we have was one person a brick or was that a one shot?
That was a one shot.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say quite literally, Sam.
So in that campaign you had a paladin that was from a homebrew subclass because it was of the common folk.
Yeah.
About like communism and whatnot. You had druid.
Yeah.
You had, I think it was a wizard. I just can't remember what type, but wizard or sorcerer. Tyler was one of them. Then you had Beth, who was playing a chronology wizard.
Yeah.
You had Georgia, who was playing a Goliath barbarian.
Yeah.
Who never used this incredible item I gave her. Let it be known, Georgia, livid. I gave them all because we were starting off at level 4 or 5. They all came from different backgrounds. I was like, oh, if you're already starting this campaign at this level, I'm going to give you all a magic item.
Like you gave us the runes, just to go, here's a fun thing to play with. Or
Well, yeah, kind of like that, but obviously a bit more powerful than what those runes were.
Oh, yeah,
it was tailored so like people can have fun with it, but it not be too much. So everyone had, when you came in, it was great stuff.
It was wonderful stuff.
And basically, she had a glaive.
Yeah.
That she came from a moon, not a planet. So her glaive was powered by moonlight, and through it could cast moonbeam.
Oh, decent.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And the only con to that glaive was the only way you could recharge it was by moonlight.
Yeah.
You're in space. Moons are everywhere. So unless it was like a solar eclipse, which I had planned if things were going too far their way, to be like, cool, we can shake things up a bit.
Yep.
But yeah. So he entered the fray. They lost their minds when they realised he was not there to help them. And the fight was
I've never
great.
felt so betrayed.
Let's face it, it made for a great story.
It was wonderful in the end, but it was one of those where like Tyler was one of the people I'd relied on to like help me out.
I must have done my mentor.
In like so many situations where either I didn't know what was going on or just generally my character who doesn't like I'd written into her backstory because I personally was not very good in like fight situations, so I would obviously like roll initiative and jump in, but there was always that like hesitant, can I use, can't I use kind of thing. So I wrote it into the backstory just because that was me.
I was going to say,
what you know.
yeah, your character's capabilities were strong.
Yeah.
There was an element of you learning how to use your character because yes, okay, we'd go on level 2, level 4, level 6. There was 2 one-shots into a campaign at level 6. That is a lot to take in. But it was the easiest way I could think of because you wanted to play, and also easing you in a way. Level 2 is great to start off with anyone, even level 3. I think level 1 person is quite boring because you literally get the bare minimum. Whereas level 2, you start to get some of the features, or if you're a magic user or whatnot, certain classes already start to get certain features, but everyone's got something by level 2.
Yeah.
And then level 3, you have the basics unlocked, and I don't think it's too much for anyone. But to go thinking, okay, we're at level 6. How do we do this? Let's do level 2. Get that chunk done.
Yeah, understand these components and these components.
Yeah.
So on that note, when coming to a backstory and you start at level 1, you want to write the ultimate cool person to play this adventurer who's going and save the planet. How do you, as a DM, take a backstory and go, would you ever go, that's too powerful, you're level 1, can you think? Would you ever ask them to change their backstory?
I think it's about having a conversation with the player. I don't think I got any of you to change any of the things. I would love to use Callum, but then you guys don't
give
know.
it away.
Yeah. But, okay, I'll just say it like this. Callum came in with a really cool concept of what their character was.
Callum has a fantastic creative mind. He has fantastic.
And yes, in terms of their backstory, if they were saying this is how my character's entering, from what they had said, you're way too strong. Some of that power I don't even think a level 20 has. Do you get what I mean?
No. That was a lot of...
It was so creative. But even he had written it into his backstory that at some point this power that he did have, he lost for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There you go. So the easy way of not giving it away.
Skirting around Callum's backstory, not giving it away. Well, at the minute I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, which Em is going to get as soon as he gets upgrades his laptop. But
in a few weeks, when I come off ship, and have money.
Maybe we could get a third mic. So
let's not go too far.
The Baldur's Gate 3 reason, there's a character called the Blade of something, but he's like renowned in his community about being a hero and Baldur's Gate starts with, I'm not sure how much this is spoilers, but literally the intro is Mind Flayers, Parasite in the Eye. The parasite sucks your ability, and that's how he uses it. That it's like, I used to be this, and then they infected me with this, and now I can't do this. So there has to be a logical reason for an overpowered character to lose that ability and then go on this adventure. So I think backstories really, they have to understand why they can't. They have to acknowledge. I think that's what a backstory is for. I'm this is my backstory. If you start up here, the forest, my character, my tiefling rogue, comes from nothing, come from an infant, and he's learned as he goes all his characteristics from the first 20 years.
You don't come from nothing.
No,
You became nothing very fast.
I had everything and lost everything. But from that losing everything, that's how his character was built up. He could have had everything and had a very different life.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I don't want to be. I got loads of money and I have lots of influence but I didn't want to be that. I wanted to build relationships up. So I was like, don't want to be.
So my technically my third. So I've done like 7 campaigns in total. First one, Garen DM'd. I was player, that was my elf wizard. Second one, I DM'd, which was I Spire Peak. But Tyler's sister wanted to give D&D a go. So me, Tyler and his sister played with Garen DMing as a side. So I had a little character for that, which was a blade singer.
Yeah.
Which is, sorry, again, I've been D&D for 5 months, I don't know what
Blade Singer is a wizard subclass. Kind of think when you have a fighter who becomes an Eldritch Knight, so a fighter who can access spells, it is a wizard who is a bit more skilled in fighting.
Okay.
So easiest way to do it.
So you get into it a bit more.
Yeah. Not saying as much as a fighter.
Does he get any more hit points?
No. It's still a wizard.
You get in the fighting, but you're still weak as ever.
Yeah, but you get some of the proficiencies of, I can actually handle some armour and some weapons.
Yes.
It's not what I mean? So, slap, shield, no, not shield,
Frostplate?
I'm thinking of the spell, mage armour. Slap mage armour on top of what you're wearing, AC. Brilliant.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? But my actual third character that I played was a fighter. Subclass was a rune knight called Dalin Fireforge. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Fireforge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason for Fireforge was his trade was a blacksmith. So he came from a long family line of blacksmiths.
Yeah.
That specialised in weaponry and all that sort of stuff, and they were renowned throughout the land. Woo! And when they hit like a certain age or whatever, the family legacy is to go out and wander for a year, and hopefully either find your own sense of what your purpose is. Because it's not a certain age; it's when that person is about to take over the family business. His dream was to set up another shop in another city and basically get it to a guild status. So they weren't just hiring Dragonborns, because that's how they started. They were accepting all people of races and walks of life because they wanted to just share the skill.
Yes.
And that was just their backstory. So he had everything in that sense. He didn't come from humble beginnings because his family had already done that.
Yep.
But he still had a purpose where it was I want to make my stamp on it. And also taken some homebrew aspect. He wasn't just a Dragonborn, he was a Rainbow Dragonborn.
Fantastic.
So
I know that is, but continue.
So rainbow scale.
Yeah.
So all the scales were rainbow, and what we did with that was we made a table of all the different elements that a Dragonborn can be.
Yes.
And every time I went to use my breath weapon, I had to roll to find out what was going to come out.
That's brilliant.
And it was great. And it was the same with the resistance. I would roll at the beginning of the day to find out that was my type resistance for the day. And because he was a blacksmith, we agreed that if I was making weaponry and armor and stuff like that, I was allowed to infuse my breath into it to either give it some extra properties. So
lightning sword.
I think I made a necrotic sword at some point.
Ooh.
Because I didn't know what was coming out.
Oh my god.
Didn't know what was coming out. So I think I called it Life Stealer or something. And I think I gave it to George's character.
You gave it up?
Well, I was I didn't need it. I had the stuff that I did need, and I was trying to help the others in my party just have some better stuff. So it was
So in that sense, your backstory literally was to help people. That was your character. Not help people directly, but the trade could the trade you learned could influence.
He wanted to take
people.
his family business to a global sort of scale. It's like having a bakery and then becoming
Gales.
Yeah.
Gales in every bloody corner in London.
Literally.
We were once a humble coffee shop and now we're Pret.
Yeah. Yes.
But not for the sake of money and fortune. It was for the sake of showing people, because people would come to that city anyway to see their stuff, was part of the backstory. But yeah, and it just had a different take. It was all quite positive, but still wanting to find their own mark.
Yes.
And in that, it was them adventuring for the first time. So, yes, they had trained a bit to be a fighter and whatnot, but they had never actually ventured this far away from home. So, they were handy in a fight, but they were still learning how to handle themselves in the outside world, whilst meeting new people, trusting people.
Yeah.
Touching things that he really shouldn't. I got cursed. I got a cursed sword.
And what did the curse do?
Basically, when I used it, I had to roll 3 d6s.
Mm-hmm.
D6s? Yeah. Had to roll 3 d6s, and depending on what numbers it landed on, affected what effect the sword would do.
Okay.
So let's say it was like 3 1s, 3 3s, or certain numbers, or if I get a 1 and a 2, or 2 1s, and it doesn't matter what the other, it would change the effect of the sword. If I got 3 1s...
What is that? 2 is snake eyes.
Instant death saves.
2 is snake eyes. 3 is instant death saves.
Oh my gosh.
It's the next logical step.
Or was it 3 6s? But something like that. If I got 3 of a certain number, I went into immediate death saves.
Like Monopoly, when you get a 2, you get another turn.
Yeah.
So you don't know. So that was a risk. I only brought that sword out for special occasions.
Yeah, you
it's
would
all
do.
or nothing, baby.
But the way I got that sword was touching a chest, which cursed me.
Yeah.
So I kept seeing these visions of this like god thing that I'd been marked by.
Yes.
And I was like, great. What's going on?
Okay.
Is that... Have you ever weaved a curse into one of your backstories? I won't say flaw, a hindrance, if anything, not a flaw. I like money too much as a flaw, so I'm going to steal everything. An actual hindrance that affects your character being who they are. Have you ever written that into a backstory?
In terms of like a curse or a hex sort
yes.
of thing? No, I haven't. Or at least not a character I've played. I have written quite a few different backstories, because at some point I'm like, oh, this would be so cool.
Yeah.
I have an idea for a character.
Yeah, and then by the time that's come around for me to actually create another character, I've probably stumbled onto something else.
Yeah.
So my current character that I am playing in Tyler's campaign was an Asimar, and obviously they're like an angelic sort of race. Has no idea how he got onto the planet that he is now on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically fell from the sky,
Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Yes, I can't remember
Instant
anything.
death saves.
He has no recollection of his past life.
Oh.
So he understands that people of his kind, that's where they come from.
Yes.
But he doesn't know why he's
Yeah.
on Earth.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the lore of Asimars, they're quite like actually judgmental characters.
Yeah.
So it's very much like, we're better than you. He was raised by tieflings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was taken in by
Feather
tieflings.
dwarfs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angel raised by demons, love it.
Yeah. And from that saw the injustice that tieflings typically see, because a lot of the lore for tieflings is that, people are very racially biased against them because of the way they look, and saw that, so is quite, pro anti-racism.
Yeah.
Although he was slightly racist himself in the last session. He told a half-elf probably why they were half-elf.
Simply moving on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Segue.
But it was for a good reason. Like, it didn't just come out of nowhere.
Context is important.
Yeah. And so their backstory is being quite prominent, kind of doesn't care now where they should or are
Actually,
from.
to be fair, on that note, Callista, Hattie's character, we don't know why currently in the campaign, but she's a tiefling.
Yeah.
Does not like humans, but we do not know why.
Yeah.
So we fully know that Callista has a prejudice.
Yeah.
Can you...
Yeah.
I'm assuming M knows because you would have sent the backstory.
No, I don't.
lies. Oh, lies. If you say that, it means I've just like sent my backstory to some random friend on WhatsApp. Like, look, I've done it.
Yeah. So can you tell me anything about how you? Okay, not the reason why, but how you came to that decision that that's going to be a heavy aspect of my backstory.
So
when I want to play this character,
needed an incentive.
Yeah.
For one, needed a big incentive. Mainly because I'd done the kind of the very cutesy, very nice kind of like Earth Dweller before. I was like, I wanna mess up some stuff. So the first draft I wrote you was very much like that, and looking at all of the, because I wrote the backstory with the spells list next to me as I was creating my story, because I needed to know what she would have gained when she was born, arose, whatever it was.
Yep.
So, looking at the spells list, I was like, somebody gave me fire! And I was like, nice, I'll add that in. So that's how it started. I was like, wonderful, she's going to really like fire.
That explains a lot!
She does. God. So the fire aspect, again, without giving stuff away, is all related to, you know, backstories and classes and all that.
Yeah.
So, and your race.
Yeah.
And this bitch will literally go, can I touch this?
No!
And set it on fire.
So this is a new, when we leveled up, obviously, we got a whole bunch of new stuff. So
Yeah.
my backstory already being quite like, one, they look very demonic. You have the horns, the red skin, and I was like, I am gonna have it be not a nice backstory. There are some backstories where it's like she just wants to find herself. Mine is like my parents got married and decided to go travelling, and halfway through their travels they ended up in a fight and they both died right after I was born, and therefore was rescued by humans. You'd think that was great.
I was like, I love you.
Wonderful.
They
saved me. However, the man was on the attacking side, so he is a bad guy who has found me and gone, oh no.
Oh yeah, you've explained this a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, this is all.
Dad.
From the Vision Quest.
Yes,
that's
so
right.
it's just like, I have a baby, and I don't know what to do with the baby.
Me at any party when I talk, oh my baby.
You didn't know that though, did you?
No.
That's not what she had said.
No.
So
I,
that wasn't.
Said that you were saved by him.
I was saved by him. He took me back to a village, and therefore the villagers went, "You're not bringing that in here." So he was like, don't know what to do with this child. So hid me outside.
Yeah.
Because they are a very racist community, I didn't have any interaction and lived in a cave.
I remember that.
So there are a lot of jokes during the campaign where it's just like, don't know if I can read this, I'll roll for it, but I grew up in a cave, so here you go. It's like, hey.
This week's episode of the BBEG Podcast is brought to you by Pirate Island. This is an incredible map created by Dread Maps. Now, Dread has an incredible catalogue of maps for you to discover, all at a solid price of $5.99. An incredible array filled with love, suitable for any sort of adventure that you want. And in the link below, 40% discount for anyone who goes on to the link. You can find them on Ko-Fi, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok.
We don't even have that.
We don't have anything.
We are undiscoverable on like Dread Maps.
They got everything. This man is clued up. A link to their website will be below.
So yeah, the whole creation of Callista and her whole tumultuous backstory, I find really interesting and really cool, and I can do it just from a creative background. I find it really interesting and really easy. However, I understand that's not for everybody, and you can end up with writer's block.
We're creators, we kind of know how to build a character, whether that's through writing or through doing. We can flesh out a character, but writer's block is an awful thing. How many character backstories have you started and never finished?
I finished
I started writing a halfling wizard or some halfling druid. I was like, I can't think of anything to write. It's like, I have a cool thing, but I can't get it from here to here. Don't know. So there are websites that sometimes I generate stuff. So the ones I've got written down are kassoon.com, kassoon.com, tetra-cube.com, and D&D Lounge. That's more of a background generator to help you. So there are like things that you just go, just give me an idea, generate, can I build on this?
There are so many ways to help build anything. it sounds stupid, but you could write just typical ideas onto pieces of paper, rip them up, put it in a bowl, and just start pulling out and see where it leads you. Like, you know, are they a baker? Are they? It could be anything, and just see what that starts to roll in your head. Because just getting something that says a baker, you might go, okay, well, how did they get into baking? A sorcerer has an affinity for fire.
Yes.
Sorry, like, stupid, I know.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, as a byproduct of my fire, I can have bread rise.
Yeah, I learned that
Callista would have been so much more different if that was the case.
Little chef's hat.
And that one little piece becomes a small detail, but it gets your mind working to find the fully fleshed character.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I created a system. Me and the girlfriend went to Greece a few months ago, and these guys know I created my own randomised D&D backstory writer. If you look at the back of the player's handbook, it does say, well, I've got awful memory, you roll a d6 to find out you know the player's handbook.
Oh, the flaws and the traits.
The flaws and the traits and stuff. Yes, the traits. They give you traits. Yeah. I come up with 6, which was just loves, hates, fears, a general adjective, and 2 other things. And it just like, the player's handbook gives you a list, so you might end up with the same. All you need is one other person to go, can I have 4 things you might hate, 4 things you love, 4 things you fear, 4 random, and just roll a d4. And I came up with a, I was a halfling wizard before. It was a halfling druid before. This was a halfling wizard who was small in stature, and but when his community came into a 10-year drought, then coming back to what you were saying about making a backstory on spells, he feared fighting. He was charismatic, so he could wrap people around their fingers. And when he found out he was the only wizard in this town who could use his spells, create water, Goodberry, create fire. He was the one who actually took care of them. Yeah. So I turned that into, for 10 years, he sat on his ass doing nothing. Yeah. And then when the drought ended, he had no use for it. He ended up, like, all the crops were growing and it was a really good harvest that year. He went, I'm going to go burn everything down because they need me.
Why not?
I have lost all
with us and fire.
I have lost all sense of purpose. And there's one night he just snuck out and set fire to all the grain. And the mayor comes out, and the guards came out, and the farmers came out with pitchforks and swords and torches. And he stood there and went, "This is why you need me." But all that came from was one of the fears was afraid of needles. And my logic was, what is a sword but a big needle? Yeah. So he's going to try and avoid conflict, and as we've said before, wizards have low HP, so he's going to be a wizard because he doesn't want to be in the fight. Yeah. That's how I came up with the class. It's a real roundabout way. I do have a YouTube video about it. Sorry to promote myself.
Yeah, that's okay.
Look at Poke Prowl's D&D randomizer, D&D backstory randomizer on YouTube. There's a video there. But it's like, there's really good ways to get around writer's block. Yeah. It could be, and I just love the fact I never even thought about writing down a job and how a job could be any use.
Literally anything, like you said with adjectives and all that sort of stuff. It's like the charades game where you just all put random words into a ball and that's what you have to count. It's the same sort of principle. Put it on a ball, see what comes out, and see where it leads you. Done. And if you don't like it, then you kind of already starting to get an idea. It's like, no.
Actually, I don't want this. Yeah. I'd rather this. Yeah. So it's So I think the backstory, to round off this whole episode, Hattie, our backstory is important.
Yes. However, the amount you write and the amount of detail you put in can be quite unique. So, and something you should probably consult your DM about. Yeah. Because if they already have a fully fleshed world, adding in loads of detail that you want to include, it's going to get missed. You're going to lose things. But if you are going in for a cheeky one-shot, just testing the water, you can leave the backstory. Yeah. You can leave it to just maybe another time.
Characters to play with.
Yes.
Maybe the one-shot helps you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our backstory is important.
Yes, they are. Just do me a favour and don't make it a backstory over one singular trope that you run for the entire campaign, because I will throw you off the castle roof at the end of it.
I feel like missed something.
One of the players, I don't even care, and it was my first ever campaign that I DM'd, was a again, communist, but wasn't an issue. But was a druid Russian communist that all they cared about was if they could flog and bend it like Beckham DVD.
Oh my god.
No.
I think that's two very different. Oh my god.
No.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And it was just.
And everyone in the town went, "What's a DVD?"
Well,
Yeah.
I was like, "Welcome to D&D."
Like, we don't have
What's that
electric here.
DVD?
But also, like, it just became their running gag, and you could kind of sense everyone's a bit like, "This isn't going." It was dead.
Yeah.
It,
The
nothing
joke's
landed.
happened now. Stop.
Whereas,
Yeah.
like, to do a 180 on the communist thing, Sam.
Yes.
It's funny because they were both called Sam.
Oh no.
But Good Sam, as
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it. Their paladin, centered around communism. It wasn't a trope. It was part of their thing that when they were going around to different areas, they were handing out flyers to promote the cause.
Yes.
That's not a trope. That is a. So, you were in a. Oh, were you there for that? I don't know. But they were in a Mind Flayer's spaceship.
Yes.
Yes. And he found like the captain's. It was a dead spaceship. Like it had been ransacked. It was just floating in space. And he went, "I want to put a manifesto on the wall." I was like, "Go for it." They were in an arena fight, and they'd won the first round. It was like, as everyone's celebrating in victory, can I run around and just throw out flight? I was like, yeah, fine.
People go like, "Oh my god, who are these guys?"
That
Great
is part of your
opportunity.
character.
Yeah.
But when you just go in, would you like? I'm not going to do the accent because I'm bad. And it doesn't lead anywhere.
No.
And then they keep pushing it.
But also, they start to get funny that no one else is finding it funny.
Yeah.
Funny's wrong. They start to get aggy that no one else is finding it humorous or entertaining, and then their playing becomes subpar, to say the least.
Yeah.
So
Because
yes,
that's
I
the thing. They need to find a character to do that. So you threw them off every.
They beat the BBEG of that campaign, and well, they decided they wanted to jump off into the ravine. So yeah, there was no coming back from that.
Do I need to roll for it? No, it just happens. No, you're in the ravine. Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
dear.
And you drown.
But as a wild shade, it was like, mate, not with the amount I rolled. Wild shade don't matter. So
No.
yeah.
I think backstories are important, but you have to be open to the DM
Yes.
going, may I add something?
Yeah.
Because you've added something. I'm not sure how much you know about the campaign so far, what happened in the last episode, but Em added an NPC and went, I was in the orphanage with you. And I just had to go, yes, and. Because I couldn't go, I don't know you. Because then that scuppers his plans.
Yeah.
I'll fill you in later. But
Thank you.
What I'm saying
Just the
is...
glassy look across my face where I was like, yeah.
Hattie wasn't here for the last
I
one.
just
someone
present.
wasn't here.
But like, in that sense, you guys give backstories.
Yes. But if the DM comes up to you with an idea, it's always best to say, or if you're comfortable with it, yes and, because the DM has a plan for you and he wants to flesh out your arc.
And that's what it is
want
about
to flesh
fleshing out the story.
Oh, yeah.
It's like what I did for you. So, like I introduced this orphan who was like, I think I said it's 2 years younger than you.
Yes.
So they remembered him.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't remember her.
Yeah.
I didn't
And it
know
was fine.
about her, and they were like, oh yeah, I was the elf ears. And I was like, yeah, you were big ears too.
Yeah.
Nice.
But then the story was, because I was a tiefling and
Yeah.
I had to make fun of you because I didn't want to be made fun of, and that was our relationship. I was like, yes, and cool, done.
But that didn't change the backstory you gave me.
No.
It
Brought it out.
it
It
added
fleshed out
another
a little bit more
detail.
for me,
Yeah.
so thank you very
Same
much.
as you.
Yeah.
You wrote that the man who took you in was in the fight, but what she didn't know until she did the vision quest was he was the man who killed her biological father.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up, because I didn't understand that.
That's
And it's
what
the
happened.
whole kind of like, I was like, yes, okay,
Yeah.
soldier, nice. I will now hate every human soldier
Yeah.
you bring in. Hence, the NPC
True.
we now have.
But on the flip side was also the man that brought her into this world.
Yes. Yeah, he delivered.
He may
me.
have shot an arrow at the biological father, but found her mother going through labour in the hut and went, I can't kill a pregnant woman, so I helped her give birth. Unfortunately, she died in childbirth.
And now, then you left the baby.
And he went,
said, yes.
well, he was kind of imprinted. It was like, I can't, I'm not doing this to you. So he took her in, kind of. But
as best he could.
yeah,
some
part out of guilt, but it added another layer to what she had already given me.
And so backstories are really important for you to connect with the character, for the DM to use something in the story
For
if
you
they're
to
doing
care.
a homebrew.
Yeah.
I think the general consensus in this very, very hot room is, oh my god, it's boiling in here, is write a backstory that
around
you...
2 tieflings, it's like hell.
You're welcome.
Write a backstory that
Yes.
is useful to you and the DM. The part, all of a sudden, you didn't bring out. You don't have to tell your backstory to
No.
the party.
No.
You don't have to say anything.
As
long
see.
as you and the DM, I've learned so much today. As long as you and the DM can work together with your, whether it's a 2-paragraph or a 2-page backstory, as long as you can work together with what you have written, that's the most important thing. Doesn't need to be long. You just be something someone can work with. I think that's...
This entire homebrew that I've made for these guys is all based off their backstories. They are following the storyline blindly to the point, apart from that person who understands this one bit.
Yeah.
And what they decide to tell the others is between them and the others.
Yeah.
They've all given little bits of your backstory because you all kind of went, okay, we're kind of in this
We're in this
thing
house.
together.
Yeah.
So we know there's some sort of, I guess, adventure quest, some sort of prophecy that we have to live up to and find out exactly what it is. But we actually don't really know much about each other.
No.
So
Yeah.
they gave little snippets. But again, no one knows the full
but
story.
Actually, no, I didn't give any snippets because y'all all ignored me on the boat. You all said backstories and then we moved on. I was like, fine, I'm not going to
But
say
that's
anything.
good because then we learn about you through other methods.
Yes.
So you know
Which
your
is-
backstory and you know what spurred you on,
And
which is
that
why you were
actually-
like, we're friends, and I was like, we're not.
To be fair,
That's
Calista was very much like, I ain't telling you guys shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much it's like we'll learn as we go.
But you've sewed yours into every episode where it has come up because when there's something that we can't open, you're there. I can't even remember what it's called. I'm so sorry, my brain's gone blank. But you're there with the Thieves'
tools.
Toolkit, to open stuff
I
up.
can do that. Me, please.
Yeah,
I
or
had no
like-
friends growing up like me.
Stealthy around, but that's it. Even though you haven't told us, we're very aware of your backstory because of how your character acts around it. Well, let's all be friends. We're like, no, please don't do that. Like we get it. So even if, and I think you not being able to say it on the boat also helps your backstory because you've grown up in a place where you probably were not allowed to join in anyway.
Yeah.
So everything kind of helps.
Backstories can come out through different means. It doesn't have to be laid out on the table. It can be through your actions, and so don't worry if you're not a confident speaker at the table. Your actions will also speak volumes with the other players.
Also, a good DM will help bring that story out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's in-game play, and it will be stuff that you might have not thought of. But, you all sent me your backstories. I gave you all questions straight away because I've read through it and gone, okay, well, X, Y, Z, I want to know this, this, and this, and this. So if you're worried that it's quite short, don't, because the DM will read it, and if they think they need more, they will ask you questions. Even if you give a detailed, 4-page essay, they're probably still going to have questions.
Because isn't that what you did with Jordan? With Jordan, you went, well, what about this? And you went, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, I did it to all of you. I read every single one. You were all different lengths. If we were to rate this to Harry Potter, you two are flipping Hermione with your essay.
I got to a page when she probably stopped there. I could go on.
I'd say, like...
You stopped at a page? Why didn't I get this memo?
But still, if a page is detailed compared... I'd say Callum, Sam, and Emily were all like, Harry gave me a good structure.
Yeah.
And then, Jordan, you are Ron. You gave me like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And called it a day. But again, all had valuable information that allowed me to go, okay, I want to know X, Y, and Z. And then when I asked the questions, you all gave me answers.
Yeah.
So do not be afraid to go, I don't really know what I want too much. You can give a bit, just chat to them.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Really.
That concludes backstories.
Yeah, for BBEG Podcast episode 2, backstories and fleshing out your character. Thank you very much for joining us. Please go and check out our map creator,
Dread Maps.
Dread Maps. It's fantastic. It just pops. It's so good. So yeah, go check out Dread Maps, and thank you very much for watching. What? You look like
I was just going to say, Dread Maps have also provided us with a link where anyone who goes onto the website using this link will get 40% off.
Wait.
What? So yeah, that'll be in the description of the YouTube video, and I'm not sure who's. This is the second episode that we're recording today. Who's actually putting this on Spotify and then YouTube? I'm doing the editing. Em's doing the reaching out to creators.
I'll do it.
I mean, that's your
You will be able to find us somewhere.
Wherever Hattie puts it up.
Look on Instagram. The link will be in there.
Oh my god! In the first episode, we didn't actually promote our Instagram. BBEG Pod on Instagram.
That is where you will find us.
Bye for now.
Yeah, catch us next time, please.
Bye.